Tune in for a tale, words that set sail.
Digital Splendor, literature illuminated.
You know, every single hero story you love, I'm talking Superman, Luke Skywalker, the Avengers, all of them, they all started somewhere. And that somewhere is a dark, cold hall 1,000 years ago where a hero fought a monster in the dead of night. So let's get into it, because the poem Beowulf, it isn't just the first great epic story in English, it's literally the blueprint for heroism itself. It's the original story of how a hero is made, and what exactly they have to sacrifice to be remembered forever. So these are the very first lines of the poem, and they tell you everything you need to know about this world. This is a pagan warrior culture, and they are obsessed with three things: fame, glory, and legacy. The story people tell about you after you're gone, well, that's the only kind of immortality you're ever gonna get. But here's the twist. The poem was actually written down by a Christian monk, looking back at his own pagan ancestors. And that creates this incredible tension, you know? This pull between a brutal warrior code and a new Christian morality. All right, so here's our game plan. We're gonna follow our hero through his three great monster battles. We'll watch him go from a young guy seeking personal glory to a wise king making the ultimate sacrifice, and finally into a legend that never dies. Okay, so our story kicks off in Denmark. The great King Hrothgar has just built an absolute masterpiece, this magnificent mead hall called Heorot. And listen, this is way more than just a building. It's the beating heart of his kingdom. It's a symbol of community, of light and joy, basically a beacon of civilization shining out against a dark, scary wilderness. But yet how it goes. All that light is bound to attract some darkness. Out in the nearby swamps lives Grendel, this monstrous outcast. He's basically the embodiment of jealousy and rage. And the sound of human happiness, it literally hurts him. The poem straight up tells us he's a descendant of Cain, you know, the first murderer. So he's forever cursed by God. And driven by this deep, bitter hatred, he starts attacking Hero, turning this beautiful hall of joy into a total house of slaughter. And get this isn't some quick one-off attack. For 12 long years, Grendel haunts the hall. Every single night, the best warriors in Denmark try to stop him, and every morning, they're just gone. Hrothgar's entire kingdom is paralyzed with fear. His great hall sits empty, and all his power feels totally meaningless against this supernatural evil. Well, news of this horror eventually spreads across the sea to what we now call Sweden, and it reaches the ears of a young warrior named Beowulf. Now, nobody asks him to help. He chooses to go. He gets 14 of his best guys together and sails for Denmark, because he's chasing the one thing a warrior craves more than anything, a challenge so great it'll guarantee his name lives on forever. And that brings us to his first great test. This battle is all about youthful ambition, right? It's about a hero proving he has unmatched strength and earning his spot in the songs that people are gonna sing for generations. And his power is, well, it's the stuff of legend. The poem says that sailors would tell stories about how Beowulf had the strength of 30 men in his handshake alone. I mean, he's not just a good fighter, he is a force of nature, almost a demigod. So, Beowulf makes this big boast, and it's so much more than just being arrogant. He stands in front of King Hrothgar and says with complete confidence, "I will either kill this monster or I will die right here in this hall." In this culture, that's not just trash talk, it's a binding public oath. He's literally staking his life on his word and his strength. So that night, Beowulf makes a crazy choice. He's gonna fight Grendel on his own terms. No sword, no shield, just his bare hands. Grendel storms in, grabs one of Beowulf's men, and then reaches for Beowulf himself. But this time, he's met with that legendary grip. They just wrestle, crashing through the mead hall in this primal fight of good versus evil. And in this brutal contest of pure strength, Beowulf is just stronger. He rips Grendel's arm clean off the shoulder, and the monster stumbles back to the swamp to die. The Danes are celebrating. They think the nightmare is finally over. But they are so wrong. The very next night, a new horror attacks. Grendel's mother, absolutely furious with grief, shows up looking for revenge. And you could argue she's even scarier than her son, because for her, it's personal. She grabs Hrothgar's closest friend and drags him back to her lair. So this brings Beowulf to a whole new battlefield. We're not in the Hall of Men anymore. He has to go to her turf, a supernatural, snake-infested lake that the poem basically describes as an entrance to hell. To win this one, he can't just wait around. He has to actually journey into the underworld, right into the heart of evil itself. Down in her underwater cave, things get desperate fast. Beowulf's sword, totally useless against her. He's pretty much done for. But then he sees it. An ancient sword forged by giants, just hanging on the wall. He grabs it, and with this one fateful weapon, he finally kills her. He hasn't just beaten another monster, he has purged the whole land of this ancient evil, and he comes back to the surface with Grendel's head as a trophy. Okay, so that really marks the end of his youthful adventures. He goes home a massive hero, but the story is far from over. We're about to fast forward 50 years, from Beowulf the wandering warrior to Beowulf the aged king, and his final, greatest battle is waiting for him. So after his big wins in Denmark, Beowulf eventually becomes king of his own people, the Geats. He's a good king, too, rules wisely, brings everyone half a century of peace. But that peace is shattered when a thief stumbles on a dragon's hoard and steals a single golden cup, waking up the ancient beast and its fiery wrath. And yes, if that sounds familiar, a thief, a dragon, a stolen cup, you're right. A famous Beowulf scholar named J.R.R. Tolkien was definitely taking notes for The Hobbit. The dragon starts burning everything, including Beowulf's own hall. And Beowulf, now an old man, knows exactly what he has to do. But his motivation is different now. This isn't about personal glory. It's not about making a name for himself. This is about duty. It is the solemn responsibility of a king to be the shield for his people, even if it costs him everything. He goes to face the dragon, but his strength is fading. His iron shield melts. His sword shatters against the dragon's scales. And seeing this, all of his hand-picked warriors, they run. All of them flee in terror. Except one, a young kinsman named Wiglaf. The dragon sinks its venomous fangs into Beowulf's neck, but Wiglaf's loyalty gives the old king one last shot. Together, the old hero and the young warrior kill the beast. But for Beowulf, the victory is fatal. So the dragon is dead, the hero is dying. And this brings us to the poem's final and maybe its most powerful theme. What's left behind when the battle's over? What is the true meaning of a hero's life? Beowulf lies there, dying from the dragon's poison. Sure, he won the treasure hoard for his people, but he's also left them without a king, totally surrounded by enemies who are definitely going to attack now that their great protector is gone. In his final moments, you know what he asks for? It's not the gold. He asks for something way more important. He asks his people to build him a great tomb, a barrow, on a cliff overlooking the sea, so that sailors will see it for generations to come and tell his story. Because his legacy isn't the treasure, his legacy is the story itself. And right there, that's it. That's the pattern, the heroic archetype that Beowulf gave to the world. A hero starts out seeking fame for himself. He grows into a protector, responsible for others, and finally he makes a selfless sacrifice that ensures his story, his legacy, will live on to inspire everyone who comes after. It's the foundational DNA for pretty much every hero's journey we see today, from King Arthur all the way to Captain America. And so the poem leaves us with this really powerful question. Beowulf won a cursed treasure and a victory that may have doomed his own people. But he also achieved immortal fame. He became a story. And the poem asks us to think about it. Was that final, noble sacrifice a worthy price for a legacy that has lasted more than 1,000 years?